Alan Joyce is a man who doesn't mince words and is willing to take on pretty unpopular topics at times. We have had our run-ins, but finally he's decided to go all in on an issue that actually affects his business. It is the state border closures. He middle stumped today what is happening to his business and why it is happening to his business.
It feels like there's no rule-based decisions. It's just there to inform maybe the politics, and we think that eventually will cause jobs and businesses.
And as if to prove Mr Joyce's point, Annastacia Palaszczuk played politics with what he was saying, despite the fact that, of course, you can't really get around Queensland unless you want to fly to get there if you want to get anywhere quickly.
So I'm not going to bend to anyone. It is a tough time at the moment.
Oh, Dale, you are just so strong. I mean, you won't bend to anyone. And it's one thing to say that to the bloke who is a multi-millionaire who runs an airline, but, I mean, good on you, Premier. You didn't bend to a pregnant woman with twins inside her, one of which could have died if they didn't make it to a hospital. But you wouldn't bend. And that mum had to wait 16 hours before being able to get to a hospital in Sydney. You would not bend. So a mother could be with their baby in intensive care this week in Queensland. You would not bend. And I gave you a challenge, 24 hours for this idiot Premier to show whether the Queensland health system, which she yesterday said was just for us, is actually paid for by the Queensland government, or in part paid for by the federal government, which of course is paid through the GST. Guess what the answer is? It's paid for in part by everyone else in the country. The idea that this idiot thinks you are stupid, this person thinks you are so hard-hearted, this person thinks you are a moron, that you can't see what is going on around you. Well, another example of that today, but perhaps I could give just a little bit of advice to Mr Joyce. If you'd like to really make an impact on the Premier, or more importantly, her advisors, feel free to boot them out of the Chairman's Club. Tell them that the next time they fly, sorry, business is full. You can't go to the lounge. And I mean the special lounge that not everyone else knows about. That might get their attention. In the meantime, the idiot Premier of Queensland is trying to say that she's going to go all in on a green future. Here's what she had to say today about more renewable energy.
Today I'm announcing my government will deliver another $145 million to unlock 3 Queensland renewable energy corridors across Queensland: North Queensland, Central Queensland and South West Queensland. We will map out areas within Queensland for investment in renewables, solar and wind, by supporting the delivery of transmission infrastructure.
There's only a small problem. It was the last state election when she said that there would be 50-50 renewables, and Green groups, well, they're a little bit concerned. Even in the left-leaning Brisbane Times, they're probably not going to get to 50-50 by 2030, but they think there's a chance of getting to 33% by 2030. Remember, the Premier thinks you're an idiot, thinks you didn't pay attention to the promise they made last time versus the reality this time, that you, outside of the southeast, don't quite understand that, of course, there's only one power provider that is increasingly in Queensland limited about the energy that it can draw upon because, of course, this government won't build a coal-fired power station. The Premier, of course, talks about, well, jobs being important here because, again, she thinks you're an idiot. She thinks that you don't know that Queensland right now is 1% above the federal unemployment rate. That's the reality. That's the record of this idiot Premier. 7.5%, now 8.8% unemployed. WA is the only other state that's over the national average. And what do they have in common? Oh, that's right, border politics. However, Annastacia Palaszczuk, she did say one thing that I agree with today.
We still have 138,000 fewer jobs than prior to the pandemic. The question all of us are asking is, how do we get back up again?
Oh, Queensland, yes you can, because the answer is give this Premier the arse. Give this government the flush. They think you are an idiot. This person is no longer qualified to lead a state government when they are turning away pregnant women whose babies might die because of her border politics. Shame on her and shame on anyone who is thinking about keeping her around for the next 4 years. This time last week, they were trying to pass laws to make it illegal for me to tell you if a member of her team or the Libs or anyone else was under a corruption investigation during the election. They've already rigged the finance system for the Queensland election. And now they're trying to pretend that the people who have killed so many jobs for border politics are going to be the people who are the saviours to create jobs, while promising technologies that have done nothing to get anywhere near the goals that they promised at the last election. How many times can you be told? This Sheila's not up to it. This government has to go.